Hey, what's going on, YouTube? So we're a little bit into day two of Heights of Power, trying to get the Ghost Pirate ship here. Um, when people talked about Heights of Power, I usually say there's two good strategies. Strategy number one is you push as much power right away, and by doing that, you can intimidate other players into not even competing. Strategy number two, usually the better strategy, is to wait until the third day and wait until the last period of time and then push as much as you can, because in that case you'll know exactly how much you need to push. And if it's just too much for you, you can back off and save your resources, save your speed ups for another event. This Heights of Power was a little interesting because day two of Heights of Power coincided with day one of Strongest Lord, which is the training day. And obviously, most of us get most of our power through training troops. And so, myself and a lot of people thought, hey, let's push all our power on day two. We can get some great Gromora tokens. And one of the things, though, is like in Strongest Lord, you're competing against your KVK. And in Greatest Heights, you're competing against like the servers near you. Like, I just happen to be pretty lucky in that I'm in a server group where there's not a lot of like high power players. So, in my Strongest Lord, however, that's not true. People are going absolutely nuts in the Strongest Lord, right? If you want to convert these to greatest height points, basically just divide by 10, right? So that the first place player right now has, pushed 65 million points in great heights. The reason I was going to push day two was to like try and get a good strongest lord score. I'm not going to do this, right? I'm not pushing 65 million power. So I'm going to revert to my other strategy, which is to wait until the final day to push. So that's what I'm doing right now. This is all still really early. We just started day two. I expect a ton more people to push this. And when it's all said and done, I don't expect anyone on this group to be below 35 million. And it's even one of the less Kraken heavy, less whale heavy server groupings you've got. Okay, there's a couple updates here I want to talk about. The first is this buff here. This is a great quality of life improvement. Basically, they've given you the runestone for free, right? For the duration of Great Heights. You get the maximum research speed, the maximum build speed, and of course the maximum training speed. If you try to pick up a training speed runestone, it won't do anything. Same thing with research and build speed. And so this is really nice. It saves you like the hassle of having to kill all the acolytes, and it saves you the nightmare scenario where you go and slaughter all the acolytes and none of them will drop a training speed 5 or whatever. So I think this is a big W. I really appreciate it. Now I wish they had done one other thing. So if you go to your city, click on the little up arrow here, you can see the buffs you have. And if you look at the training speed here, this is not, the buff they've given you for Greatest Heights is not reflected in your city buffs. Same thing with research and building if you care about that. Now the good news is this is just a tooltip error. I've done the calculations and you are getting the benefit of that 10% training speed, etc. The other thing I wanted to talk through is the higher and higher bundle here. Obviously, a couple days ago, I did a spending guide for Great Heights, and I didn't include this one. I'm not even sure if I've ever seen this before. If they have seen it, I've forgotten about it. So let me include the information here. And basically, the bottom line here is the higher and higher bundle is pretty good on training speed. It's outclassed by some others, but it is the best bundle when it comes to mana. This guy, using the same criteria as before, like one gold chest, remember, it's going to give you a little bit more than 31,000 and a half training speed minutes, which is going to be worth about 276,500 great height points. That's a little bit better than Pass Through Flames and a little bit worse than Gilded Feather. But this thing is going to give you a ton of mana. It's basically worth almost 65 million mana, which is the best of any bundle. Now, I will tell you that if you're going to buy mana, your best bet is still to use the exchange shop with pet coins, and you're not looking to do something like the resource pack. Higher and Higher is an excellent pack to get mana. All right, now they've also released a new Q&A, and it touched on a couple of things that are very relevant to this channel, and I just wanted to touch on them very quickly. The first one is this very first question here. They're bringing back the inheritance feature. They originally had this when 4 pets were first released, and basically this allows you to transfer the skills from one pet to another pet. Or let's say you got 2 pets, Pet A you've built out, it's got a lot of skills on it, you've leveled up the skills, but Pet A stats aren't that good, really. They're just okay. All right, and then you catch Pet B, or maybe you regenerate into Pet B, and it's got a lot of slots, it's got pretty good stats, and you're like, hey, I wish I had this pet when I was building my other pet. I could transfer the stats to it. Well, good news for you, you can now. What you do is basically Pet B, the one that's the one with the good stats and the good slots. will consume pet A will go away, and then pet B loses all of its skills and gains all the skills from pet A. Now you still need to have the requisite number of slots. For example, if you have a 6-slot pet and it eats an 8-slot pet with 8 skills on it, it's only going to get the first 6 skills. But otherwise, it's a good way to transfer skills onto a pet with better attributes. I'm just using this Auric Warhound here as an example. These stats are okay, but like obviously you'd be looking to do something even better than this. Now, I don't think it's any particular mystery while they're doing this. Bringing back the inheritance feature is really going to incentivize people to buy more pets on the auction house. I think most pets go unsold, and this should increase the demand for them. Hey, I'm fine with it. I'm glad to see this inheritance skill come back. I think this is another W. The other thing we'll talk about is question number 10 here, and this is really just a tease more than anything else. Obviously, I'm used to be a degenerate flying cav player. I gave it up just because flying units weren't supported, and I've called repeatedly for them to invest more in flying units in the game, not just flying cav, but across the spectrum. I think flying's really a dimension they don't do a lot with. And basically, they're like, yeah, we agree with you, and stay tuned. Very soon, we're going to introduce more information about this. All right, this is just a huge tease. We have no idea what's coming. Of course, one part of speculation is that they'll introduce flying infantry, in part because they have that contest to design the flying infantry hero. Okay, maybe. Obviously, if we get flying infantry, that means a new faction. I think that would be good. But of course, the problem with flying infantry is flying units don't normally obstruct anyone. So if the infantry flies but doesn't obstruct anyone when it's flying, then is it any useful? On the other hand, if flying infantry could obstruct things, that would seem to be extremely powerful, maybe too powerful. So if they're going to do that, I hope they find a way to balance it. Of course, I'm just speculating here. There's no indication whatsoever that it's going to be flying infantry. And one of the things I think they could do with the Generation 5 heroes, which obviously are coming next, is to do what they did with Generation 2 and basically give us one new flying archer, one new flying cav, and one new flying mage. Maybe they do that. If they do that, I don't think it moves the needle very much in terms of like making flying a more viable strategy in this game. And of course, maybe they just give us another Bayhorn, like Bayhorn 2.0. So I hope it's more than that. Kind of foolish to talk more about it right now. This is just a flat tease. We'll see what comes in the future. All right, that's what's going on today. Like I said, I've decided to postpone my push until day 3. I think that is the best strategy when like Strongest Lord is not something you can really capitalize on. And then I'll be able to see like exactly what I need to push. And once again, I think these are all like, it's going to be much, much higher when I push. Anyways, that's all I got for you today. And until next time, you stay classy, Belleron.